Hello, welcome. This is a video about absolute value, and this is the highly proficient level. And they've asked us to graph the equation below, and it asks us to plot at least 5 points. I'm going to approach this in a couple different ways. One, I'm going to approach it like we have in the past with graphing quadratic equations, which are parabolas. The process is very similar. There's a lot of things they have in common. So I'm going to approach it that way, but I'm also going to pay attention to this hint down here that making a table might be helpful. So we'll do a combination of both. So as a quick reminder, the vertex form of the equation of a quadratic of a parabola is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where a tells us if it opens up or down, up if it's positive, down if it's negative. And then these values for h and k are the vertex. And then again here, might put a little asterisk by the h to remind us that it has kind of the opposite value of what you might look at. If it says x plus 2, that's going to be h equal to minus 2. And if you had this would be squared, right? X minus 7 squared, you might be tempted to put minus 7, but actually h is positive 7. And so we want to keep that in mind. That applies here too. So here, I can look at this and say my vertex is from here, -1 in x, +5 in y. So I'm going to go over here, -1, 5, and I'm going to plot that point, -1, 5. Real quick, I want to look. Oh, now here that a value is negative, so I know this is going to open down. Now, absolute value equations, their graphs, are a little bit different. Where quadratics are parabolas in a U shape, absolute value are V-shaped. And this one does open down, and so this is what we would see here. So I say that because I want to label my points. This is the vertex of this equation, and it would be -1, 5. Labeling it helps to say, oh wait, -1, that's -1x over 1, and then 5, that's positive value for y, so it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can make sure that I've graphed it correctly, and labeling it is a very good idea. So keep that in mind. All right, now the table of values. So x comma y. I've got 1 point. I need 5, so I want 4 more. Now, parabolas also have this axis of symmetry. So if I get 1, I can get the other one. Now, I'd say let's choose a value kind of close to the other. Let's look at this point's -1, so this point right here in x is 0. So let's look at x equals 0. I'm going to say what x equals 0. And then I'm going to maybe skip one just to give me a point. Maybe it's a little bit further. I know it's going to open down. And so, I know exactly how it's going to go. Is it going to like that? Is it going to like this? Is it going to like that? How's it going to go? But if I choose x equals 0, that's going to tell me where it is here. And x equals, let's say, 2 is going to give me another point further down. And so I'm going to say, let's go to x equals 2 as well. And then to find the y value is just that plug and chug, right? Plug and chug. Let's see. I know I've got x equals 0. So I'm just going to write this down to keep in mind that's what I've got. X equals 0. Y which is the same as f of x, is equal to negative 2 absolute value, x equals 0, so I'm going to put 0 here instead of x, plus 1, and then plus 5. So instead of x, I put a 0 in that place. And now I need to go through and follow the order of operations to evaluate. That's what I just did by putting 0 in for x. That's the plug part. Now, plug and chug. So the plug part, I put it in. Chug is I evaluate it to see what I get. So just like in regular order of operations, we do what's inside the grouping symbols first, and absolute value brackets or absolute value symbols are grouping symbols. So 0 plus 1 is 1. And then I have the minus 2 out front, and then plus 5. Well, the absolute value of 1 is 1. It's always it's the distance of from that number to 0 on a number line. And so on a number line, here's 0, here's 1, and that distance is 1 unit. It's always going to be non-negative. So 1 times negative 2 is negative 2 plus 5. And negative 2 plus 5 would give us 3. So negative 2 plus, this value, when x is 0, y is 3. And so we have this point 0, 3. And then let's go to 2 and see what happens with that one. I'm going to just use the same thing, but just erase the parts that I need here. And I'm going to go back and put now x equals 2. So I've got 2 plus 1. Once again, I'm putting the value 2 in for x. And 2 plus 1 is 3, absolute value, and then plus 5. Once again, absolute value of 3, 3. 3 times negative 2 would be negative 6. And negative 6 times, plus 5 would give me negative 1. So at 2, it's equal to negative 1. I'm going to go here and graph this. 0, 3. 0, comma 3. That's 0, 1, 2, 3. There's that point. 0, 3. And then what I was talking about with axis of symmetry is I know that if I've got this point right here, it's 1 unit away from the axis of symmetry. I can just use the idea here of that by BOGO, we'll say BOGO, buy one, get one is a great deal. We love the buy one, get one deal. So this gives us this one for free. Now, let's go over to 2. 2 is negative 1. So 2, negative 1, I go over, x equals 2 is right here. Negative 1 would be right here, down 1. And so that point is our point 2, comma, negative 1. 0, 3, and 2, negative 1. 0, 3, and 2, negative 1 is this point and this point. But, once again, 1, 2, 3 units from the axis of symmetry. I can go over here 1, 2, 3 units on the other side and graph another point. And now I can just connect these points. I've got my 5 points. And so now I can say, okay, here this goes down like that. And this one goes down like that. Again, V-shaped, not U-shaped. And you could plug in additional points. What happens when x is 4, let's say? Huh? Not that hard to do it again. What would happen if I put in 4? 4 plus 1. Once again, we're using the value x where x equals 4. And put it in for x. So now I've got absolute value. 4 plus 1 is 5. The absolute value of 5 is 5 times negative 2 plus 5. And negative 2 times 5 would be negative 10 plus 5. Negative 10 plus 5 would be negative 5. And So there we go. Y equals negative 10 plus 5, which is equal to negative 5. My point 4 comma negative 5. I can go over here and look. And I've already drawn the graph, but this kind of helps me to see how did I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's where this other point should have gone. I was a little bit off, but I'm pretty close, and that happens. But you know, if you put more points in advance, then you can kind of get a better idea of what your graph looks like. There you go. Keep on keeping on.